Good morning and happy Sunday. This morning, I want our conversation to just kind of be off the cuff, and there might not be a lot of structure to it this morning because if we're being honest with each other, I think that there's got to be a level of vulnerability in our conversations if there's going to be any real fruit. And so the conversations about what don't work certainly can't underwhelm the videos of what does work. And this week, I'm going to share with you a whole heck of a lot about what doesn't work. And I'll keep it at least a narrow lens on what this week looked like for me. And we'll get to know each other more over time, and you'll have a little bit more context into the whole situation. But this morning I want to talk about quieting the noise. I have been on a very, very long and tumultuous road to what chapter is next. What my next chapter is going to be, professionally speaking. And I started a business August of last year, and I love the concept of it. But I still have failed to really grasp or understand who my ideal client profile is. And so that's not really allowed the business to be as profitable. I'll say it this way, it's not allowed the business to be profitable. And so I've really had to go back to the drawing board, and I started the company August of last year. And since then, I'd also been just, I guess, probing for what else could possibly be out there for me as well. My entire background is basically in the security industry. And so, but there's been so many transformations in my life, and I feel like a new chapter and a new season is right around the corner for me, and I want to be able to use those experiences and those careers that shaped who I am today in my everyday life. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want it to be my identity like it was. And so I've been really, really nervous and scared, honestly, to figure out what's next. And as of this morning, in the last year, I have applied, I have about 108 activities. I can't say I applied to 108 places because I update my job search effort. Basically, it's a document that I keep so I can keep track of who I've applied to and where I'm at in the process. And so a lot of those are, like this morning, I received another email that said, thank you, but no thank you, basically. Thank you, we're electing to move forward with other candidates. I don't have a bachelor's degree. I've basically been carrying a gun for a living since I was 17 years old. And every time that I try to pursue a role that would be different and that could maybe grow me in a different way and not pigeonhole me to the security space, I discover that I don't have the degree they're looking for, or the certificate that they're looking for, or the minimum experience required in the field. So then I thought I would use my GI Bill, or because of my disability status with the military, I could use some education benefits. And so I went through the education benefits process. And that took several months. And they said, congratulations, yes, you are entitled and eligible to use this education benefit. I was told to go ahead and register for classes. I met with my academic advisor. And then, like good old Uncle Sam is so good at, I received a phone call that said, we can't support your major. Back to the drawing board. So I pivoted and started search efforts in different industries. Well, met with and interviewed with several different firms and companies. Nothing. And one of the most discouraging things that I'm not used to in any way, shape, or form, because I've never had a stint of time where I've been unemployed, was my resume barely ever makes it through the AI algorithms, because I don't have what they're looking for on paper, which is oftentimes either a degree or a certain license or a certificate, even if they're sponsoring a certain license or certificate. I've had times where I applied to a role at 7:03 p.m. and at 7:06 p.m. 3 minutes later, I've already received thank you for applying to so-and-so. We are choosing to move another direction with other candidates, or what have you. It got to the point with one where I just happened to know somebody in that firm, and she said, oh, well, that's just the AI generated thing. I'll get it in front of a human recruiter. And they gave me an interview. And I'm still in the interview process with them. It takes a while. But part of the homework that I've assigned myself was to start meeting with my trusted friends and mentors. And ask them, hey, what do you think about me in this space or this industry? I called a guy that I was in the Army with. He said, Josh, you're super genuine and authentic, and I think that you would do super well in this industry. It's really cutthroat, and there's not a lot of great people out there in it. So he was a little bit concerned. So I took his words and processed them and, put them in my notes. And then the next person I met with, Joshua, I don't know, I don't think that's going to fulfill you. you are used to jumping out of planes and, having a very, adrenaline rush type of a profession. I don't think this is going to do it for you. And then the doubt starts creeping in. And I'm thinking, good Lord, maybe they're right. Then I meet with a trusted mentor, and I shared what I could with him. And he says, no, look, you just need to find, you haven't found yourself the right market with your company. And the way he highlighted things was really beautiful. But he also second guessed. He said, hey, it's a financial industry space is what I've been looking to get into. And he said, your value proposition is not in financial services. He said, you have a unique background and set of credentials and bona fides that, he said, could you be successful in financial industries? Yeah, I'm sure you could, but you'd have to basically start from scratch in an industry that, you don't really know anything about, and you don't have like a huge network of people that are looking to have their money managed by you or something. And I go, well, maybe he's right. I walk around the corner of that restaurant, and there was another acquaintance that I have, but through not a direct friendship per se. And he was like kind of sitting on his haunches, kind of like squatting down by, like right as I turned the corner of this restaurant that I just left with my mentor. And he's got one earbud in, but he doesn't seem like he's on a phone call or anything. And so I said, hey, Matt, how's it going? I said, are you busy? Are you on a phone call? And he just looked up at me and said, yeah, sort of. And, just basically didn't give me time of day, just dismissed me. And so I am just data dumping to you guys today that I could use my own advice this morning, and I have to tune out the noise. I don't know what the Lord has in store for me. I don't know what's next, clearly. Maybe I'm supposed to stay in the security space. Maybe I'm supposed to start my own business doing something different. Maybe I'm supposed to go into financial services. I don't know. There's only like one or two companies that I'm even still in the interview process with, so I don't even know how that's going to shake out. But at some point, I have to be able to stem the financial bleeding and secure a new employment or a new source of income. And so, unlike probably a lot of other people that are putting out videos, I just want you to know, I have no idea the answer. I'm just as confused, if not more confused, than I was starting Monday of last week. And the only thing that I know is the more people I talk to, the more either unsolicited or solicited advice that I get. And before I know it, I don't even know which way's north anymore. So there's a time and a place for mentors and mentees and seeking people's guidance. And I think it's important to know when and how much to share. But if I could redo this week, I maybe would have had one of those meetings. maybe. But I am going to regroup, regenerate, recalibrate, and then the most important piece is re-engage in my efforts, right? Reset, regroup, recalibrate. I don't know what just happened. This week was a bit of a confusing week for me. Maybe it was for you too. If it was, or if you can say, man, I'm in the exact same space, or I've been there, or I'm worried about being there, comment and share, where you're at. But today was more of a video on vulnerability. If we're gonna have conversations, we gotta have the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And how are we gonna get to know each other if you really don't know anything about me except vague things that I share on a 10-minute YouTube video? So, in the name of transparency and authenticity, this is me. This is Joshua Reeder as of August 2nd, 2026. And maybe I'll look back at this archive video 5 or 10 years from now, and all of this kind of sitting and waiting in the dark and trying to figure out what's next will all make sense. And I'm confident it will. But that doesn't mean there's certain aspects of this period of time that doesn't keep me up at night. So, I hope that you have a blessed week. I hope that you got something from the video, even if it's nothing more than, man, I don't feel so alone in the trenches anymore, then objective complete. And the last thing I will say that I'm going to leave you with is I'm reminded that our Lord is a God of order, not disorder and not chaos. Chaos and confusion comes from the enemy. And so if I'm allowing myself to get wrapped up into the chaos and confusion, well, it's not from the Lord. So, with that said, I am going to leave you with the fact that our Lord is a Lord of order and peace. And so, eventually, this season will come to an end for me and for you. And when it does, maybe we'll look back in hindsight and some of it will make sense. Maybe none of it will make sense for the duration of our time here on planet Earth. But we have to keep growing. We can't stop moving. That's it for today. Have a beautiful, wonderful Sunday. Till next time.